Good morning, dear students. Welcome back. This is class 10th Science chapter 3 lecture number 3. So let us see today's content. Today we will study the reactivity series, then its examples, octet rule, then how to prove this octet rule with some of the examples, ionic compounds and their characteristics, and at the end we will see the homework. So let us continue with our first topic. So the first topic is reactivity series of metals. Reactivity series is the arrangement of metals in the vertical column in order of their decreasing reactivity. Most reactive metals are placed at the top and least reactive metals are placed at the bottom. Electropositive or metallic character of metals decreases as we go down in this series. So you can look at the series. We are having the reactivity series as potassium, barium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, nickel, tin, lead, then copper, Hg, that is mercury, silver, gold, platinum. So the most reactive metals are placed at the top and the less reactive metals are placed at the bottom. So metallic character of the metals is decreasing as we go down in the series. We have compared the reactivity of the metals with hydrogen, which is a non-metal. So the metals which can lose electrons more readily than hydrogen, they are more reactive than hydrogen. Which can lose electrons less readily than hydrogen are less reactive than hydrogen. So here we have calcium, barium, potassium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, nickel, tin, lead. These are high reactive metals. Then copper, mercury, silver, gold and platinum. These are less reactive than hydrogen. So let us see that how displacement occurs in case of more reactive and less reactive metals. As we know, the displacement reactions are the type of reactions in which more reactive metal displaces less reactive metal from its salt solution. For example, zinc, when it is added to copper sulfate solution, then it displaces copper as it is more reactive as compared to copper, and it forms zinc sulfate and copper is displaced. It is separated. Now, have you ever thought why this displacement is happening, or why more reactive metal is coming into the place of less reactive metal? So the reason is because the more reactive metal, they have a great tendency to lose electrons and hence they get oxidized. And as the salt solution of a metal is having metal ions and the anions also in the solution, so the electrons so released by the more reactive metal are picked up by the cations of less reactive metal and get reduced. Hence, when zinc is giving out 2 electrons and becoming an ion, it is getting oxidized. Now these 2 electrons are taken up by the copper ions which are there in the salt solution, and hence it reduces and becomes copper, and that is why this copper separates out. So more reactive metal, they get oxidized and they dissolve in the solution. Less reactive metals, they pick up the electrons and get reduced and hence separated out. More reactive metals displaces less reactive metals from their oxides also on heating, because more reactive metals show great affinity for oxygen and hence they get oxidized to their oxides. The less reactive metal ions will get reduced to metal. For example, when copper oxide is reacting with magnesium, Then as magnesium is more reactive and it is having a great tendency towards this oxygen, so it will get oxidized into MgO. And this copper oxide, here this copper is attached with magnesium now, and this copper will be separated out. So here copper oxide is getting reduced to copper, magnesium is getting oxidized into magnesium oxide. Another example we can have that Fe2O3, ferric oxide plus aluminium. On heating it is giving Al2O3, that is aluminium oxide, and iron. So here aluminium is getting oxidized and forming aluminium oxide. Ferric oxide is getting reduced into ferrous or iron. So this way we can say that more reactive metals, they act as a reducing agent. Now let us see how do metals and non-metals react. The reaction between the metals and non-metals depends upon the chemical reactivity of the metals and non-metals. And this chemical behavior of any element depends upon its position in the periodic table. Position is related to its electronic configuration. So, chemical reactivity of an element depends on its electronic configuration. What is electronic configuration? It is the distribution of electron in its atom, and the elements with completely filled outermost shell are non-reactive, whereas all the elements having less than 8 electrons in their outermost shell, they will show chemical activity except helium, because helium is having just 2 electrons in its outermost shell, so it will not come under the category of less than 8. Here we have a table, and in this table you can see we have some elements, then their atomic number, electronic configuration, number of the valency electrons, then number of nature of outermost shell, and then their reactivity based on the valency electrons. So here in the first column we have sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. So they are having atomic numbers 11, 19, 12, 20, 13. According to their electronic configuration, they have these many number of electrons, valency electrons. So this last orbit, this last shell is not complete. Hence they will behave as a reactive metal. But we have some of the elements like helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. They have completely filled last orbits, so they will behave as non-reactive elements of the periodic table. Hence they are called as noble gases, because they do not react with any other element. Now some of the non-metals are also there. Here we have fluorine, chlorine, oxygen, sulfur, phosphorus. They have the number of valency electrons 7, 7, 6, 6 and 5. So this last shell is incomplete. Hence they will also behave as reactive elements of the periodic table. Here you can see that with completely filled last orbit, the elements are non-reactive and others will take part in the chemical reactions. This rule is known as octet rule, that atoms of all the elements, they tend to gain stability by acquiring an electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas element. Now let us see some of the examples. We said exception of hydrogen, because hydrogen either loses its one electron or gains one electron to attain stability. So the nearest stability element is helium for hydrogen. So it will try to gain either helium configuration or it will lose its one electron. When it loses its electron, it becomes proton, and when it gains one electron, it becomes H negative ion. For another example, we can take sodium and chlorine. So sodium is having atomic number 11. So the electronic configuration will become 2, 8 and 1. So 1 is the valency electron. Whereas chlorine is having atomic number 17 and its electronic configuration will be 2, 8, 7. So 7 is the valency electron. Now what will happen? Sodium will lose this electron to gain the stability. How? Because when it is losing the electron, its octets are complete and it gains neon configuration. Neon is a noble gas. And chlorine, it gains this electron and it becomes Cl negative ion. Its octet is complete now. It has gained argon configuration. Argon is a noble gas. So they have attained noble gas configuration now to become stable. Now let us see it with the help of electron dot structure. We have sodium, which is having 1 electron, which is shown by the dot here, and chlorine is having 7 electrons in the outermost shell, shown by the cross marks. Here sodium is giving its 1 electron, and hence sodium is gaining 1 plus charge and Cl is gaining 1 negative charge. Hence Na plus and Cl negative ions are formed. Because of the Coulombic attractions between these two charges, they combine together to form a stable compound. So we know that sodium and chlorine ions are held together by electronic attractions to form ionic compound. Coulombic force of attraction between sodium and chlorine lowers the energy of the system and hence it makes a stable compound. Let us have another example. We have magnesium and chlorine. Magnesium atomic number 12, 282 is the electronic configuration, 2 is the valency electron. Chlorine 17, 287, 7 is the electronic that valency electron. So magnesium will give out these 2 electrons to get neon noble gas configuration, whereas Cl will gain 2 electrons to complete its noble gas configuration, that is argon, which is its nearest noble gas configuration. Hence the net reaction becomes Mg2 plus 2Cl negative, because one Cl can take only 1 electron. Hence we need 2 chlorine atoms to take these 2 electrons coming out from the magnesium. So it makes Mg2 plus and Cl negative 2. So MgCl2 formation is there. Let us see with the help of electron dot structure. We have chlorine, magnesium and chlorine. So they need 1 electron and magnesium is donating that, and it becomes 1 Cl negative, Mg2 plus and Cl negative, like this. So MgCl2 salt that compound is formed. Let us see sodium and oxygen example. Sodium, the same way, it is having electronic configuration 281. Oxygen is having 8 atomic number, so 2, 6. It needs 2 electrons and it can lose 1 electron. So we'll take 2 sodium atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So they will behave as 2 sodium atoms, they will give 2 electrons. 1 oxygen will get these 2 electrons and will complete its octet. So the net reaction will become 2Na plus O2 negative gives Na plus O2 negative and then Na. So Na2O. This is the electron dot structure for this, and the compound formed is sodium oxide. Another example we can have is magnesium and oxygen. So magnesium can lose 2 electrons and oxygen can gain 2 electrons. Hence with the help of this electron dot structure, you can see that 2 electrons of magnesium are transferred to the last shell of the oxygen, and hence it becomes Mg2 plus and O2 negative. So MgO compound is formed. So here we have seen the complete transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom of the element. Now these type of compounds are called ionic compounds. How we define ionic compounds? The compounds formed due to the transfer of electrons from the atom of one element to the atom of another element is called ionic or electrovalent compounds. For example, sodium chloride, calcium chloride and potassium sulfate. Here in the ionic compound itself, elements whose atoms loses electron is said to be oxidized, and element whose atom gains electron is said to be reduced. Now let us see some of the characteristics of ionic compounds. The first thing is that ionic compounds are hard, rigid and brittle solids because of the strong Coulombic forces between them. Second, they are having high density because they are closely packed. That results in high density. Third is they have high melting and boiling points because to break the strong Coulombic forces between the ions, we need more amount of temperature or energy. That is why they have high melting and boiling points. The fourth point is solubility. Ionic compounds can dissolve in polar solvents such as water, but do not dissolve in non-polar organic solvents such as benzene, carbon tetrachloride. Next point is dissociation. Whenever they are dissolved in polar solvents or heated, they dissociate to give free ions. The next point is conductivity. Ionic compounds, when they are in solid form, they do not conduct electricity, but they conduct electricity when dissolved in polar solvents. When the free ions are there in the solution, they can conduct electricity. And one of their characteristic is that they are crystalline in nature because there is a regular geometric arrangement of the ions and hence they show the crystalline nature. So this is it for today. Let us summarize the lecture once. We started with the reactivity series, and reactivity series was the ordered arrangement of the metals according to their reactivity in the order of their decreasing reactivity, where most reactive metals are placed at the top and low reactive metals are placed at the bottom. Then we saw how do metals and non-metals react together. Then we saw octet rule with some of the examples. For example, hydrogen, sodium chloride, magnesium oxide, sodium oxide, and we discussed ionic compounds and their characteristics. Now let us see today's homework. So you have 2 questions as today's homework. Question number 1 is having 3 parts. First part A is write the electron dot structure for sodium, oxygen and magnesium. Part B is show the formation of Na2O, that is sodium oxide, and MgO, that is magnesium oxide, by the transfer of electrons. C part is what are the ions present in these compounds. That means it is talking about the ions present in these sodium oxide and magnesium oxide. Second question is why do ionic compounds have high melting points? Now this is it for today. So we'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care and goodbye.